nicknamed the Wonder Kid by the former Wonder Kid. It is Clem for Team Liquid. Raynor called him the Wonder Kid, but that was the nickname he was given. I guess he didn't like it and just passed it along.
I always like Raynor's so funny to me because Raynor's what, 17? Clem's like about the same age, 17-ish. And Raynor will be like, these kids, man, like talking about Clem, and it's like, Raynor, he's older than you. He's like, oh, I don't care. These kids, man, they're so good these days. And it's like, oh my gosh. But can I just say, Cats, it is so nice to see, and I know this will sound biased coming from a Terran, but it is so nice to see a true top tier contender in a Terran, because for me, TVZ has always been the kind of the big trademark matchup of StarCraft 2. And the fact that we do have a true contender in Clem, and he is a true contender. He was the one waiting in the winner bracket final, but this is truly a case of like good versus evil, Terran versus Zergtami. And it's so lovely to see.
Yeah, the Terran is quite evil, but yeah, Zerg has been winning for a while, so yeah, it's really nice to see a mix-up. I am still rooting for a Protoss to make it their word on the streets, and I think maybe it's somewhat appropriate to shout it out here, but word in the street as far as players are concerned, they see MaxPax on the rise. I am very excited for him as a prospect as well, moving on forward, but of course that is on the Protoss side of things. This is the TVZ. And,
I thought you were going to bring up Ashreya's name, actually, because we'll be seeing him later on the broadcast, I do believe.
He is so good, too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the players I talk to are mostly Europeans, so they tend to not give credit to Americans. That's why I'm saying in the European streets, it's MaxPax the name.
That is funny to me. Okay, so this first Reaper gets a Zergling so far. Probably won't be able to get much more than that. So the Reaper does arrive a little bit earlier on this map. Submarine, definitely one of the shorter rush distance maps we've had.
Shortest, I think, yeah. And yeah, you're spot on. It's something that Nathanias, I think, yesterday pointed out to in his cast with Fear Dragon, who it's his birthday, by the way, today. So everyone wish Fear Dragon a happy birthday if you haven't yet. But Nate was pointing out to the same thing that you were pointing out today, which is that the reason why it would be good for Terran generally is because it's a good map for aggression, because all your timings are faster, and Terran tends to be the most aggressive usually. But that also means, for example, like Roach Ravager timings are particularly strong on this map, though we are not seeing any of that from later.
No. We did see a second Marine produced for Clem. Seen nothing else out of the barracks, and 2 Marines, it's pretty good for defending against like the Overlord scouts and stuff, even utilizing his barracks here to try and deny the Overlord, but it's not there. So where are you keeping your Overlord? And that's already maybe Clem did some studying to find out where Raynor hides his stuff, but Raynor, he is going to start marching, and that Overlord is now revealed for those 2 Marines. So just little things going on here, and it is going to be a Liberator opening for Clem.
Yeah, this is all very interesting to me. The barracks placed on the low ground to begin with, and then floating it up the high ground. I've seen a game between these two on this same map where Clem actually placed the barracks on the low ground and then made the add-ons on the low ground also. So maybe he's thinking, if Raynor sees this and think I'm doing the same thing, he could punish me with something like Roach. And in the interview, actually, Raynor said, if I had gone for Roaches on that map, I would have crushed it, right? So I like that type of thing, because I feel like if I remember these things, these players probably also remember. And so floating the barracks from the low ground to the high ground might have something to do with that. Maybe he was baiting for something like a Roach Ravager, but didn't get his wish.
Okay, so did Raynor see this Liberator float by? There is a Spore Crawler soon to be finishing, but no Queens to greet it. That was a nice transfer. That drone just popping out of the Vespene gas there would have died instantly, but no, very quick morph by Raynor, so nice micro.
Yeah, this Liberator sieging right in the middle of the Queen, so unavoidable. She will take one shot, but it hasn't accomplished anything for Clem yet. So this is a strong start, as strong a start as you can have on Submarine for Raynor.
Those Queens can shoot the Liberator from there, so it is kind of fended off with very low health, probably to return home entirely, just to get repaired and do whatever it can again. But we have to say that this opening so far went pretty darn good for Raynor.
Yeah. And creep spread on this map, it seems kind of difficult actually for the Hellions to deny. You would have... Oh, do you veto this map?
I do not veto this map, no.
Okay, cool. So would you agree with that then? Have you seen much of this? Because there's so many chokes that the Hellions seem to have to go so far away to look for the next Crypt Tumor advancing or not advancing.
Like, you always put priority over the middle one. So it's always like you whenever you bounce to the right side, you bounce back to the middle. Then to the bottom one, bounce to the middle. I mean, it makes sense as well. Like, that's the way the Hellions will go. But obviously, the most direct path is the middle one. So that's the one that you take the most precaution over. But back at home, Clem's getting amassing a little bit of an army here. Supplies are still relatively close. And the tank count getting up to 2 this quickly, especially with keeping that many Hellions alive, this could be a pretty gnarly push.
Yeah, and I love tanks on this map because it is so very choky and so very small as well that you can essentially use them somewhat, both defensively and offensively, at least partially. And this type of position is so very strong. The army doesn't look huge, but a nice run by to answer for Reynor. Very timely.
And Clem, he's actually left behind those Hellions at home. So while they've both lost a few workers, Clem, those Banelings, they were getting damn close to those Marines. The friendly fire from the tanks. That was crucial. Clem just lost all his Marines to those tanks of his own, but he did get quite a few drone kills. Was this from a Liberator?
Yep.
It was.
10 workers went down from Mr. Liberator, so very well done on that side, and actually saves the tanks, which are probably the most important part of that push. I mean, he lost the Marines, unavoidable perhaps to some degree. But yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah, you're totally right. Keeping alive those tanks is a big deal, and he's not looking away from these Hellions for a second here and just utilizing them really, really well. He's also getting his +2 weapons on the way. And killing those workers with the Liberator, actually, like, regardless of what went right for Reynor in the early game, that totally reset things for him. Like, this is very, very even between them now.
Yes, indeed. Though Reynor is expanding a lot, and this creep spread is getting very, very... Oh, that slow beaming drop. Okay, Overlord Speed will now finish. But that creep in the middle is getting very dangerously close to the side of Clem. So how do you manage that on this map? Because honestly, I've never seen, or personally, as much as I play this map, I never play macro games on this map.
It's going to be difficult, right? Like, this map's... Once you get out of the problem phase of the game, the creep spread is pretty easy because it's a lot of flat ground and what have you, which we do see. Reynor just spreading like a madman, but this is a different Liberator, right? Beautiful use of the Liberators by Clem, really utilizing the map very well. Oh! Yes, these do fall to the first Baneling drop, and it's going to the Bane. Oh, 8-4.
Huge connect. Oh, that's a little bit rough. 16 SCVs total going down, so 8 and 8, and now 85 workers on the side of Reynor, though he is gonna lose a few here potentially.
Yeah, he certainly did, and the Queen as well. They're both dealing a lot of damage. The thing is, Reynor's at 88 drones against 56. They've both killed 18 and 19 workers. I mean, it's been a bit of a bloodbath, but Clem, he can't let Reynor mine this much, man. He's on 5 bases now with 20 less supply. I think Reynor's being super greedy.
Yeah, he really, really is, especially on how small this map is. But with that much creep spread, I mean, you feel kind of safe as a Zerg, right? Like, you have that much creep spread, that's creep that Terran can't ignore. It's time that it buys at the very least. So Reynor's confidently just plummeting, or rather pushing ahead in terms of workers, now up to 91.
So the longer this game goes on, the better it is for Reynor. I mean, he's just mining way more. 90 workers to 62. Clem is securing a 4th base. I think the one thing that I am a little bit worried for Reynor, which is the only point, is that he's sticking on Ling Bane tech only, and we all know how good Clem is with Widow Mines, and that's exactly what he's actually got quite a number of now.
Yeah, that is a very, very good point. Those Widow Mines for Clem are amazing. I am surprised, actually, he's moving a lot of them onto creep, which is a little bit uncharacteristic, but I guess he really wants to kill this creep right now. And this is potentially a big engagement. Look at the mine spread, right? That's the beautiful thing, is Clem is ready to run back to those mines all the way back.
Yeah, he is. And it truly is a minefield, right? Like, these Widow Mines, the tank in the back as well, just supporting. And Reynor, I know in the past he said he doesn't like playing against Widow Mines, and we'll see what this gets done. That is a lot of Banelings.
Yeah, and it's particular. Oh wow, yeah, Marine Lord is happy somewhere. He is, or rather sad somewhere. But yeah, I mean, it's what he said specifically is he doesn't like playing against Clem's Widowmines. Like, he doesn't mind playing Mutaling Bane against Widowmine in general. It's just that Clem is so very good with them. And I mean, it shows. Look at that.
Yeah, I love the positioning of Widowmines, the tank. Look at this. Great detonations with the Widowmines. And all of a sudden, Raynor is 40 supply behind. What the hell?
Yeah, and people might be thinking, okay, like, how are you good at Widowmines, right? They are such a mind-gamey unit. They are very good at sieging. It's very good at sieging. Well, you don't want to do that. Okay, that's how you're bad at Widowmines, but that's very uncharacteristic of Clem. You don't want to clump them up, right? Which is what we just saw. And you wouldn't want to expose them. But look at that. How did he do that? Like, those are very, very ninja Widowmines.
Mapu, look in the top right. Look at the top right. I want to see
Mapu.
these. Which one did they go to? Which one did they go to? Okay. If they went to that far left one, that could have been so bad. Okay, it's damage. It's damage. But Clem, he's 190 supply against 145. But more to your point about Widowmines, so the Widowmines, you can't do much with them, right? Like spacing them out and stuff. But it's what he does with the other units with them. So he'll bait and then he'll pick up very quickly. And it's a lot of the positioning. Like, he is just strangling Raynor. We thought that the creep spread was like insurmountable, but look how hard he's pushing it back and just slowly suffocating his opponent.
Yeah, it's the setup and how he uses them. And you know, also knowing to prioritize once in a while, when it is necessary, target firing on a clump of banelings, for example, can be huge, right? Or biding your time. It's something that we see Clem do where he won't detonate a Widowmine by clicking on multiple units to avoid it from going off. So yeah, Clem is definitely one of the very best players at that and at the mind games associated with the Widowmines. That's why he gets such great connections consistently. Now he's pushing onto creep here, and yeah, I'm not sure.
There are fights going on absolutely everywhere, and we have to give credit to Raynor. He's actually got equal in supply / slightly ahead now. Again, these Widowmines, that is exactly what we talked about. Just baiting, tanks far away as well. Oh, this Widowmine, juicy hit.
God. It's exactly that. And wow, Raynor with another counterattack, but there's a PF there, so we'll get a CC cancel for his troubles, but maybe not what he was looking for, as he is trailing behind in supply. And this is all the Widowmines been over and over again. Cost efficiently doubled on the side of Clem.
I've just been looking at the minimap, and it's so hard to follow. Like, Clem attacks everywhere with everything. The Liberators, they're constantly being made. Look at that production tab. Constantly being made. Just being utilized. Oh, snipes all the Vipers there. The Widowmines again. Look, they're going off. Blowing up all the Banelings. And now you're left with Ultras only. Clem is outplaying Raynor, and he's doing it really damn well.
Yeah, that's just brilliant target firing onto those Overseers after they get hit by the mine, right? If they don't get hit by the mine, they're probably ignored and the Ultras are instead target fired. But Clem will switch on his mode and know what to target fire based on the smallest happenings, and that is what makes him such a great player. Another cancel onto the base at the north.
And I just want to mention, look at this resources loss tab. It is insane. 25k loss for Raynor, 13k for Clem. This was, oh, where did 13
Look at that,
just fall?
look at that, we were talking about that. Oh my god, how does he do that? How is he looking there? He changed the targeting, right?
He did. And I know this isn't a super big deal, but very often I'll look at efficient APM of players. These guys, like, for a pro gamer, they're in like the 190 to 200 mark. Clem and Raynor, they're both closing in on 300 between them. Like, each, by the way, which is crazy. Liberator stopping the drones in the north base. He's just strangling Raynor out of this game, man. Look how many Widowmines he has.
Absolutely amazing. It's been a game of cost efficiency, and man, it's not even like Raynor went for the Mutaling Bane, and I think we're gonna start seeing a lot more Lurker Hydra on the side of Raynor because he's gotta start playing Clem. And Clem, I don't know how you beat his mind style with Ling Bane. He's so good.
I was worried about it because one of the weaknesses of the Ling Bane style, even though it's very swarmy and overwhelming, and you know, if you continue making tanks, you can kind of get behind, or you can feel that you're so behind that you feel you have to be aggressive to make up for it. But Clem was very patient. He knew that he had windows against it, and he didn't overextend, right? Because we looked at it at some points, it was like, man, Raynor's on 90 drones against like 55, 60 SCVs. But Clem realized that it's okay to be behind now, because my time will come later. And it's so smart of him to realize that and not be too crazy, too impatient about it. Because once he started getting things going, dropping the top, dropping the bottom, and constantly doing it with different units as well. It could be a drop of bio, drop of mines, the Liberator showing up. You need different units to deal with all of those things. And as you pointed out, like Reynor, he said that he hates Clem's mines because he's better than anybody. Like the baiting, I love the fact that he continues the tank production as well to have that back line. So running into it, you can't just use one Zergling to trigger off the mine because the tank shoots it. Like it's just beautiful. So I do think he will switch into more Hydralisk-esque style.
I think so as well. And I mean, attempting to play a somewhat of a macro game on that map, I mean, it was looking good for Reynor, like you were saying, for a lot of that game. I was very worried for Clem as well. And then all of a sudden, he just started doubling his opponent in terms of cost efficiency, right? So it's exactly what you said, Ben. He just knows when his opening is, and there's very few Terran players, and I hope I'm not offending you, but I see this trademark in Maru, and I see it in Clem, where they know when to just hold back and not be aggressive at all for a period of time in order to get the units that they need to truly go for a push. Like they'll forego pushes and timings in favor of adaptation, essentially, which is more of a Zerg trait usually.
You know when you said no offense, Ben, and it's like, oh, I'm not being grouped in with great Terrans like Maru and Clem, and the list stopped there. I'm like, I'm not offended, dude. The fact that you thought I might be somewhere around there, like what the? But anyhow, spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, currently 2-0 down in the grand finals here. He has some fighting to do. It is Clash as Reynor.
On the top right-hand side, taking that 2-0 lead. But as I said, it was on the easiest map for him, perhaps. So it's about to get harder for Liquid's Clem.
Yeah, I wonder how the map picking is done, because if we're going down the road of, okay, Clem picked Submarine, and then Reynor picked this, is it going to go like that? Is that how it's done?
I would guess so, yeah.
Because that would be... I think Ice and Chrome is... It's obviously a large map. It's very nice to get things sorted. It's not necessarily super easy to just kill your opponent because of how defensively it is set. It's also, like, a lot of Terrans like it as a mech map, but Clem, he is way too gifted and way too good at this bio-mine style that he shouldn't ever be going mech, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I have never seen him go mech, so it would be a weird thing for him to pull it off in the grand final. I don't know if you've seen much mech from him.
No, actually, I don't think I've ever seen Clem go mech.
Yeah. So, given that, I think it's very unlikely that we see it on this map, and that's why I would think that Reynor is a little bit perhaps favored on this one, right? Because without the ability to go mech, and with the Zerg player also knowing perhaps that you are not gonna go mech to a good degree, he can really play that macro game that he was looking for in the last game, I think.
They're both doing a lot of respectful stuff, by the way, because I don't remember the last time I saw Clem do proxy Raxes, but Reynor was scouting for proxy Raxes with one of his early drones, and Clem was actually scouting with an SV2, so a lot of respect going out to both of them, realizing, well, if he does something cheeky to me, given how good he is, like he could really catch me super off guard and just win the game. So I like the fact that they're both just kind of like, okay, if I give up a little economy here, but just to make sure I don't die against this great player, then I'm pretty good. This Reaper, by the way, getting a few Zerglings early on, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, Reynor actually attacked one of his drones with one Zergling once and then stopped. I mean, when I attack anything, it usually goes like 3 attacks before I notice, you know?
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Sorry. Yeah, that like, very often I remember thinking, or I remember talking to Zerg players, it was like, okay, so what's the best thing to do with the Reaper? Like, do you go for a drone? Do you go for X, Y, Z? And Clem here went for the Lings, which the Zergs often are like, oh yeah, that's kind of the nice option, like I'd prefer that. But he went for them so he could go for the creep tumor afterwards, which he got 2 birds with 1 stone there, which was amazing for him. And slowing down the creep spread immediately, that's always a nice little victory for the Terran.
Absolutely, and that's why Raynor is forced to place that creep tumor where he placed it. I'm not sure that that's where he wanted it, but it's, you know, not gonna be too bad for him in any case. Though losing the first creep tumor, of course, does hurt quite a bit, as it will slow down the creep spread and its energy, you know, that you would have wanted from that queen, and in some way, shape or form. Now, maybe carving himself a path is gonna go in, actually, with 2 Hellions and a Reaper already with a creep spread is Raynor.
Okay.
Can he find here?
Yeah, so Reina already had quite a few lings in production, so this wasn't like panic lings or anything. We do see the production tab as well. He was just kind of hammering on drones as well. But that could have been really gnarly. Like, that timing was right before ling speed finished. Reina, again, not cutting super corners this series against Clem, because that can really bite you in the butt.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of that poke, though? It was a little bit surprising. I see that he had the angle to go in, right, freely, basically, which is maybe why he takes it, and maybe those lings that he killed earlier. But 2 Hellions, I mean, they won't one-shot a drone. Is the Reaper enough of an equalizer to do damage there?
Actually, I think it's okay. What the hell? Oh, wow, the ring took a moment to appear there for me. I don't know if it did for you as well. I was like,
Yeah.
what is it sieging on right now? But no, I do actually like that timing with the 2 Hellions and the Reaper, but I like this a lot too. That is 6 Hellions. Oh, above a Spore Crawler, the Liberator does get picked off. These Evo chambers are making it a little bit tricky for Raynor actually there, but trying to chase away these Hellions. But yeah, to what you were asking about.
Yeah.
So very often against the very greedy Zergs, they won't make the like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th set of Zerglings. But very often you can actually catch them totally off guard by being aggressive at that time when they wouldn't have any units out besides queens, and if you picked off a couple of the lings early on, it can just keep your opponent honest. I like throwing it into a series, especially a best of 7, just to let your opponent know that you are willing to do those kind of moves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess it seems a little bit unthreatening, but if it is completely, I think Clem was basically betting there's nothing here, and there was basically nothing there, right? So maybe he could have gotten enough for his troubles, forced out units that Raynor wasn't willing to make. So yeah, thank you for the explanation there, Ben. Now, these Hellions haven't been able to find too much on the side of Clem. How are you feeling about this game moving on forward?
Not too bad. I like the Liberator being lost with not doing much obviously sucks. Like, I would definitely give Raynor this edge right now. Keeping those Hellions alive is also a nice deal though, because I mean, everybody knows how good units are from Terran that can be kept alive. Like, very often back in the early days, it was like, oh, you throw out a Banshee, you use it till it's dead. The Hellions, you use them till they die. Whereas now, Terrans are just getting better and better at keeping alive every unit, because they can all be utilized in different ways. So we'll see how this game chooses to go, really.
All right, so the first poke will find a queen, but nothing more, as the Lynx are here to defend on the side of Raynor, who has established a very nice map presence with a lot of creep spread on his side. So Clem just now establishing a 4th. This feels like Raynor getting out of control once again. I mean, with this much creep spread, and the Lynx that he has right now, I feel like he doesn't need units for a little while. He is pressing on the drone button. So I think he's gonna go to 90 again or something, because he's already at 81 and dropping that Hydra then that we were talking about last game.
That's what I was looking at, yeah. And I love the evolution, right? So we could see that the Ling Bane style, it was absolutely Clem's playground. Like, that's what he loves to play against. So he's changing things up here. He's going for the Hydras. He feels safer. And the fact that he's been under pressure, but he's managed to get this good creep spread while taking a 5th and stuff, like, it just goes to show you that Raynor does a lot of things really damn right.
Yeah, and this is Raynor almost taking a page from Serral in terms of approach, right? He's looking to play that longer macro, less aggressive game with tons of creep spread, just enough to defend. I mean, that's where the Hydras are gonna thrive. They're not gonna be great on offense for a little while, but they're gonna be amazing at picking off mines. So the Widow Mine play that we see Clem once again going for, potentially going to be a lot less effective. There's still going to be Ling Bane involved, but with the Hydra core and a few Overseers, he should be able to walk a little bit more freely.
So this is Clem's first inkling, I think, that there's Hydras on the field, which we'll see how... Oh, okay, so he cancelled the reactor, and went for a tech lab. So it absolutely was the first inkling that he saw about it. So it's going to be less Widow Mines. He's still getting the upgrade because they can be useful later on. Going up to 8 barracks as well. Whew, this is going to be feisty.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still potential for, say, Widow Mine drops. I think once that upgrade comes in, because there isn't Mutas, right, to punish that sort of play. So I would love to see something like that being used, but I am absolutely thrilled at Clem's reaction here and canceling the extra Widow Mines in favor of more tanks upon seeing those Hydras. So adaptations on both ends as this game continues on to the later game.
Yeah, even though he cancelled it, he's still making Widow Mines out of the Tech Lab factory. So interesting. I do think they're always good to have a few scattered about, though. Because, like, those run-bys that can happen and stuff. And you're against Reyna, like, he's the king of run-bys.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. There will be Links and Banes running by, for sure.
Lurkers. No, I think that was inevitable, right? Given that it's Reyna, he loves Lurkers so much. But it always kind of makes me a little bit giddy. I think Lurkers are so damn good.
They are incredible units, and in the hands of Raynor, they are the type of unit that can seize an advantage or seize a position very easily. So Clem is going to have to be careful once those lurkers come into play. Raynor has the option to turn into the aggressor, especially once he gets the adaptive talons.
So this is some of the stuff that Clem seemingly does better than any other Terran. He won't super commit. Lots of his army is off creep. Look at this. 90% of his army is off creep, and he's using the other portion of his army, like just a small 10%, just to bait the fights, to win the positional ground. And it's so beautiful to see how patient his play is, but it means that he never really has to fight on creep unless it's super forced. Oh.
Yeah, and look at the respect as well, leaving a very good chunk at that third. It's something that is so difficult to do as Terran because you feel so exposed if you don't have your army together. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna get swarmed, right? But Clem's setups are so nice that he's just looking for cost-efficient trades and to have a backbone back at home. Let's see if he can accomplish that as Raynor ventures far off of creep.
Oh, he certainly does, but he's got such a bank that I feel he can trade sort of inefficiently. But that was a nice cleanup, man. Getting the tanks and stuff, that was really vital. 9 lurkers!
And 94 workers for Raynor. So again, this game is about to flip as far as the script. It's gonna be Raynor getting aggressive soon here once he starts getting those lurkers, because the army of Clem is gonna grow or has already grown to be maxed actually, and with 94 workers. I mean, yeah, you really are looking to trade cost inefficiently, but trade often and maybe kill some bases if you can.
Clem sniping Banelings amidst like huge flocks of Zerglings always makes me gasp, because the fact that he's so confident in doing that. But
yes,
he's done a good job of clearing up the creep spread. He now knows he's definitely against a lot of lurkers. Oh, that was a yank into one Hydra. Gets away. Oh, luckiest medevac ever. Oh, that's a nice cleanup by Raynor.
Yeah, uncharacteristic from Clem, but of course, what is that army from Raynor doing there? Well, that's because he has the Watchtower. So he spotted the army of Clem and was able to take it down with this little bit of Ling Bane. However, the mines that we were talking about are defensive, or are excellent defensively. So he's gonna push Raynor back, and this game will continue on as both players tend to or continue to split the map.
This single tank with like the Widowmine in front of it has done so much damage, and the Widowmine's constantly getting damage done. The resources lost tab is pretty close. Oh my gosh, that is such an extension. Maybe overextension. No, so many lurkers just cut the army of Clem in half. Oh my gosh.
Jeez. So yeah, I mean, on that side, Ben, you're absolutely right. That looked like an overextension because it was not. The Lynx were not looking to do damage. They were most likely looking to distract for those lurkers, and that is gonna give Raynor a very good cleanup. And I mean, him trading cost efficiently right now is way too good because his economy is also amazing. He is gonna find the siege position that we were talking about, and it is so difficult to dislodge these lurkers. Now, sure, there's ghosts with snipes, but they're gonna take a while. And in that meanwhile, all these SCVs, all those depots are gonna get killed. So amazing moves by Raynor.
Really nice snipes and dealing with the lurkers here with the ghosts. The ghosts, they do clean up actually all the lurkers here. The thing is, Raynor is so rich. Oh my god, he doesn't have a scan. This is one happy lurker, man. Oh, it kind of poked the ghost into the Zerg army and it died. Oh, that's so sad. Okay.
Yeah, and that is just the thing. It's like the army composition that Clem is going for. If he ends up going for those Ghost Liberators, they're gonna trade very, very efficiently against the Lurkers. But it's not always efficiency that Raynor's after. If he manages to get a position where the army of Clem is not, or just have enough, like he might just have right here, actually, as he pushes on forth, those Banelings could go onto the CC if they choose to, but no, they're just backing. Do something. He needs to rupture the CC. If he gets nothing here, Clem could begin to stabilize. The Vipers late to the party will get EMP as the rest of the army of Raynor continues to push on forth. The supply is greatly in favor of the Surge.
Raynor isn't falling below 200, as crazy as it sounds, and Clem, he's holding on like an absolute boss here, but there is just red streaming across the map right now. Raynor smells blood in the water, but oh, Clem, is he gonna hold on? Is he gonna hold on? The tank gonna die as well. I think it's just way too much, and Clem knows it. GG. Raynor is back into the series.
Yeah, and I mean that has to be one of the best Zerg maps. Again, especially if the Terran is unwilling to go mech, right? So, so more or less, the series is going as expected between these two players who are very evenly matched. It's a very exciting one. Don't miss the conclusion of it after this.
Hello guys, welcome back. If you've been away, well, I don't know where the hell you've been. It better be something gosh darn important, because this is Clem going up against Raynor in the grand finals of DreamHack Europe. And what a sight, what a game, what a series we have here, cats.
Ben. And the next map is gonna be my favorite map of all maps. It is Golden Wall. And this is a map that has traditionally favored Clem as well. So I am super excited. Raynor's gonna have to bring something different.
Yeah. I like one thing that I've never seen from Clem that isn't just mech. I haven't seen any of the like greedy 3cc openings from him either. Like he always opts for like double gas, some kind of aggression. He tends to really like the Liberator stuff as well, which it does feel like Raynor is figuring out a little bit, because that first game of the day between them, it definitely did way more damage than it ever should have.
Yeah, that was on the back of many things happening at once too. So it was a little bit of a Clem out multitasking Raynor in that regard. Though you know the Liberators is the CG unit, but this map though, Ben, it's not great for Rambuys, which is one of the things that Raynor is best at, but also Clem is best probably at defending out of anyone. Like he always seems to have units in place. So I've seen Raynor look at some prospects on this map to try and get around the, you know, because otherwise I think it's a difficult map for Zerg against Terran, and in particular because the gold base is so very strong for Terran in this map, especially bioing Terran, right? Because it's so difficult to punish, and Zerg can't really take it because you can siege it with your ranged units as a Terran from behind the mineral line. But one thing that I saw Raynor consistently trying and often making work of is Baneling drops onto the gold base. So I'm curious if he'll try that, but at the same time, I've seen it many times, so I don't think it would be unannounced at this point if you're a Clem. And I'm wondering if Raynor's gonna find something different, something else to work with. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, this is one of the first maps in the history of StarCraft 2 maps where the gold base like isn't just instantly more beneficial for Terran's opponents. Yeah. And like I think it's a really cool design, having the bit behind where drops can be super annoying. Obviously it's very, very susceptible and stuff, but I can't remember a map where Terrans take the gold base earlier than the Zerg do, which obviously it's a whole different element.
Habitation station, I guess you could float it. Like there's some maps where you could float it because it's close enough.
Yeah, I was like, besides the ones where you can just float over to the middle, like, what was the first one? Metropolis? Yeah, Metalopolis, one of those where it was like, oh my gosh, that's so imba. I remember first finding out about that strat. It lasted for about 2 hours, and then people figured it out, and I was like, oh, damn, can never do it again.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I mean, the Reaper is going to come in, find what he can find. I'm actually not surprised, but I could have seen a different opener than a Reaper on this map. I feel like Reapers are kind of difficult to get information with on this map, right? You're kind of just zoned off from here on. So is it worth it still just for to look for that creep tumor? Or
I think for me personally, when it comes to the Reaper in this matchup specifically, like obviously keeping yourself safe is good, but it becomes the punching bag for your Hellions. So the Hellions can constantly have a little poke while getting hit by the Queen and then re-go again, which, if you think about it like that, it's almost like having a medevac for the Hellions, I suppose, in a weird way.
Yeah, like a baby medevac. I see it.
Yeah. Like
it
the
can
Reaper,
tank a lot of damage over time. Doesn't need repairing.
Yeah, the Reaper, it's like, it's literally, you get it so it gets hit instead of your actual valuable units. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. So that might be what it is. Maybe you would tend to feel more naked if you didn't have that Reaper then with your initial units to poke, and that's the comfort that he values. Because as far as information gathering or potential for damage, there's so little for that first Reaper on this map, or even denying the first tumor, right? Because of the ramp.
Yeah, certainly. And you'll see that as well. Like these Terrans. Oh, okay. So Clem's putting his Reaper at the front to get hit. Raynor specifically right-clicked the Hellion there. Even though it's just like a very, very small engagement, that just shows you like what these guys are going for. Oh, he went a Viking this game. Viking into Liberator. Okay. So it's definitely a little bit of a mix-up by Clem. But I like it.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that reaction from Raynor as well. The Overlords are pulling back. You can see on the mini map on the lower side of the map because that Viking threatens that entire lower side of the map. So Raynor is gonna have to play with much less information on a map where your backyard is basically gigantic and super inaccessible. So I love the Viking from Clem, who is now looking for those Overlords but won't find any.
I love how he's being very thorough as well. Like, I'd have just ran straight to my opponent's base, but this, like, if there was any Overlords to be found, you know, he'd have found them. He'd have got them. Oh, this is a really fast lair for Raynor, I feel.
Yeah, and look at that. Especially as he approaches closer to the side of Raynor, he is more diligent about looking everywhere for those Overlords, so that this Liberator is unannounced. At the same time, the Viking has been given up. And so Raynor is expecting something, but he looks to be expecting a medevac, not a Liberator. May not make a huge difference as there is a Spore. No! No!
Okay, that was the saddest, but this is a large number of Hellions, so that was almost like a bit of a... Hey, wait, he's getting into the main base.
Oh my
Where's
God.
Raynor's
This
units?
is huge. There's not any. I mean, it's one of the best maps to be ultra greedy on because it's so difficult to attack up a ramp, but he's been caught. I mean, the bluff has been called, right? And Clem now finds himself in a brilliant position in the main of Raynor. It's going to be so difficult to deal with this Hellions. Then again, he has only found eight workers. He's probably looking for a little bit more.
This is ridiculous. How the hell did he get in there with so many Hellions left alive? The Liberator, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst Liberator of all time, but it was almost the bait, it seemed. And right now, we have the Hellions cleaned up, and even though that initially looked really bad for Raynor, I gotta say, Raynor handled that very damn well.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that Spore, Ben, I've never seen that Spore before. And I don't know if it's a Clem Spore, because who has a Spore there, you know, by default? Like, it's like he knew there was going to be a Liberator siege on top of it somehow.
Actually, that's a good point. Like, why was that Spore not behind the mineral line or something? Or, you know...
In front, yeah, what is that?
Like, Raynor with some sixth sense right there, finding out where he's going to die from, but, you know, prevented everything bad happening. Oh, nice transfuse. I love... Okay, that's another thing. I love the fact that he waited until the last moment there, just hoping that the Viking would go for the extra shot, then to transfuse, just meaning he gets extra queen shots. Like, these players, they really do so much with so little. Every little thing they can do, they'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what separates them. I mean, if you're completely evenly matched against another player and you give your opponent the respect to think that they are capable of doing the smallest maneuvers to get ahead, then one of those could win you the game. You know, it sounds unrealistic and it seems silly, but of course, when you amount enough of those, you really separate this type of player, the Raynors, the Clems, and the Serals, from just about everyone else.
Okay, the 1-1 is finishing for Clem now, meaning his units, you know, they can definitely pack a bit of a punch, and takes out a queen here, has taken out some creep as well in the middle of the map. Clem isn't falling far behind in supply at all. 62 workers against 75, and he does have that gold base up and running, which we talked about. And even though it only has one gas there as well, with the build that Clem does, you only need one gas.
Why is that? Why is that? Is he going to be focusing primarily just on the bio then?
Yeah, bio and getting up to 2 factories. You only normally need like 6 gases with the bio play when you're going something really off. Like it's a mech build. Ooh, I love that he's going for this on this map. This is really annoying to play against, and it's one of those things where it's like mutas are great against this because, you know, mutas could just clean this up. Oh my gosh. But the fact that he's had to go Hydras because he doesn't want to play against the Withermind stuff,
yep.
This is just Clem being smart.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I mean, this is one of the best Muta maps because there's such a big playground back there that we were talking about, right? Like the Mutas could be queens, I suppose, of that area. But Raynor is just hesitant to play the style against the Widowminds of Clem, like you just said. So I am liking Clem's position. But it's gonna run out of steam at some point, right? Like, I don't know if do you feel pressure to do something when you have the gold like this very early?
So in my eyes, I think Raynor's quite a bit ahead. The creep spread's good. He denied that rush just there, and the gold base is meant to get you much more of a power spike earlier on, but Raynor's still remaining ahead in supply, and you know, he's just kind of even though he took some shortcuts as he does. You know, it's Reynor. He's that kind of guy. He really knows where to do it. He's still got himself into a position where he's getting up to his 5th base now, and he's getting to the big tech. He's getting to Lurkers and Hive.
All right, and those units are gonna be strong positionally, but at the same time, it's gonna be difficult to find angles on this map to not just make a frontal push with them, right? And that's where Clem could just find himself a good position defensively, more so than on other maps where there are multiple paths to the other side. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like this game is still anyone's. It's very difficult to say, obviously, but I'm feeling Clem, man.
So Reynor actually went for the range upgrades and the melee upgrades in favor of the armor, which I think is super strange, actually. I think the armor is like super duper valuable. And I know he's getting into lurkers and stuff and hydras, but not having armor for these like Ling Rumbais and stuff is so damaging, I feel, when it comes to fighting the bio.
Yeah, especially when your opponent's entire army is mostly just Marines, right? So you really want that armor usually. This Liberator's trying to find anywhere to do damage, but Reynor, I mean, once upon a time, Ben, it was thought of as like the way it was taught to me, more or less. My sensei was Dong Ragu, and the way that it was taught to me is that Koreans look down upon static defense since Brood War, right? Because it's like you shouldn't have to rely on it. But here we see, I mean, at this level of play, you just have to respect the fact that your opponent is so very good that they're gonna find positions and they're gonna outmaneuver you at some point. And those forts coming in handy against those Liberators. very good defense on the side of Reynor everywhere right now.
So Clem has himself a very nice position, and if we glance over at his army as well, he's at, like, this isn't it. He's at 200 supply. Look how much is off the creep. Like, he is the master of just trying to make his opponent take a bad fight, and he's trading very efficiently with this. He does know he's against lurkers right now, but he's also expanding like a madman behind this and just putting on as much pressure as he can with so little.
I love it, and the topology of this map is so very good for tanks, by the way. Like, it's so difficult to engage tanks on multiple areas.
Look at the bottom, the bottom right. This is a lurker drop. Are we? Is this Brood War? Because if this gets into the production,
is there no Nidus though? I would love a Nidus follow-up. I'm surprised there isn't a Nidus, because if he establishes himself on that ramp, he could siege the entire production here. It's gonna be so difficult to dislodge this. What a brilliant maneuver for Reynor. No more production for Clem, though he's not really in need of producing anything right this second.
No, he isn't. I mean, he is maxed out, and I don't know how Clem does it. Like, no matter what comes at him, he's just seemingly ready for it. Okay, this is nice. The Vipers are out now, and that will deal with the kind of nice bait positioning by those tanks. And Clem, he has to find another way to break through Reynor here. Oh my gosh, these lurkers.
Yeah, very nice job from Reynor, repositioning those lurkers to do economical damage, not being able to find the barracks. And 11 workers will go down, as well as a few Marines. Reynor finding himself at a very strong position now. Is that mostly on the back of Clem investing so much into CCs, you think? Or has something gone terribly wrong in these last few minutes?
Lurkers, man. Just lurkers. They're damn good. Like, I've been struggling myself with them a lot. But Reynor, that drop in the main and then dropping behind the gold base and just having them seemingly in every base here. Like, he's been dropping them while this fighting's been going off. So absolutely perfect holding by him, but also perfect aggression by him, something that we haven't really seen much at all. And he's up to 94 workers.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I personally wanted to see from Reynor, is finding more different tactics that are suited to the map. Sure, he didn't go Muta, but the lurker drops, I mean, that is one of those tactics, right? That takes advantage of that very large space behind the bases of this map, of the front of it at least. So I love to see that, and he has forgone completely, for example, the Baneling drop that we were talking about. It's not just 2 tanks, but a lot of Baneling spent on them. They might find connections onto the Ghost. That's what they're looking for.
Oh, the great splits by Clem, but there's just so much Reynor. There was a nice EMP on the Vipers to start off the fight, but these are very valuable units going down. Those Ghosts are very expensive, of Reynor now has a siege at the top of the ramp, but Clem looks like he's fighting back a bit.
Yeah, with the PF finishing there, it's going to be difficult for Reynor to continue to reinforce. And it looks like Clem will stabilize for now. I mean, I look at the map and it's blue enough that, you know, if he can hold on for the next minute or two, we will have a very close game in our hands. But I'm not sure if Raynor's gonna let him here.
I'm not sure either. Like, Raynor, he's just staying at 200 supply, and this seems to be how the games go. If he gets to 200 supply and he's as rich as this, he's just never going to drop. And how does Clem try and deal damage? These are some scans to find out how rich is his opponent. But look at Raynor. He can just kind of choose wherever he wants. He owns the map right now.
Yeah, and once he can find a position with his lurkers, which is why the wall is set up like this for Clem, it's gonna be so difficult to dislodge them, even with this knife. So many banelings here, but tanks are sieged, and Clem is gonna be able to get rid of most of them, but it will not. Actually, it's kind of inexpensive of a cleanup then. This is pretty good for Clem, no?
I think it's really good for Raynor. I mean, like, the thing is, Clem's so poor. Like, he doesn't have a bank at all. We look at Raynor, he's still got a massive bank. It's not as if he's, like, all in with this. He's really rich.
Yeah, he doesn't need to trade cost efficiently right now. It's Raynor that has lost more resources than Clem, but just barely. I mean, it's only 2k of a difference, and the income is, you know, is greatly in favor of Raynor for a long while, and he's continuing to be annoying with these lurker drops. So yeah, Clem doesn't just need good defenses. He needs basically to take no damage from some of these attacks a couple of times in a row to stabilize, I guess.
It's always deceiving, right? You see all these banelings blow up, and you see like 5 tanks defending, but I mean, Raynor, there's just too much of him at this point. Like, he just runs in on top of that PF, burrows on top of it, and Clem, he is trying to defend with the ghosts and stuff, but getting lurkers dropping in his main and his natural.
I love that, because right now, if you're Clem, whatever commander he has is pinging him everywhere, right? It's so annoying when the map is pinging everywhere and dragging your attention to everywhere where the lurkers are at. So even though the individual lurkers don't do a lot, they surely drive you crazy. It's more stuff to react to, and wow, Raynor will even out the series.
It's like the little kid poking you, you know? Like the little kid constantly poking you, and then one time it's like you don't react, and then everything's dead kind of thing. But yeah, those lurker drops, man, like that was the lurker drops in the main. Clem dealt with it super damn well. But then the lurker drops in the mineral lines, like behind the goal base, in the natural and stuff. It's just taxing your multitasking. And maybe some of those main fights could have went a lot better for Clem if 100% of his focus got to be on them. But Raynor never allowed that. And once Raynor gets flowing, he's like a raging bull, man. Like, his macro is off the charts, and his injects are obviously really, really damn clean as well. Because the fact that during these fights, even though he's losing so much, he's still at 200 supply. He's just constantly macroing while they're going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, the last couple of times at least that I've watched, that was Clem's map. And it was traditionally, up until the last series, Raynor that won almost every time except on that map. So Raynor taking that map is very, very important, I feel like, because we could have a 3-1 series in the favor of Clem, and instead we're tied 2-2 with 2 of the best Terran maps gone from the map pool. I'm starting to feel a little bit more for the Italian here.
Yeah, like, and we have to remember that Clem started off this best of 7 with a 1-0 advantage. So this isn't like, oh yeah, it's like super even between them. I do feel that the games that Clem won, the submarine game, that was obviously a super Terran favored map, and Clem played phenomenal. But these last 2 maps, like Raynor, he's manhandling Clem a little bit, which is really weird to see because we know how good Clem is. But that just goes to show how much of a beast Raynor is in this matchup. Like, he really is one of the most monstrous ZVT players on the planet.
Yeah, what's crazy to me is things didn't seem to go that badly for Clem at all. I mean, the Hellions were brilliantly dealt with. That was, you get 8 Hellions in your opponent's main base, and you think they'd get more than just 10 workers, right? When there's like no circlings at all on the map until, well, I guess they arrived late, or they were made late, but there was a good chunk of time for those Hellions to try and do something and didn't find anything. In spite of that, I felt like Clem was in a good position, then takes the gold. But like you pointed out too, it was Raynor that kept the supply lead. It never felt like Clem gathered his momentum, and I'm not quite sure why, Ben. What happened?
So I think a lot of this is coming down to the fact that Clem's openings are so precise and intricate. that losing the Liberator to a Spore, it's too much. Like, you can't afford that kind of mistake. Anyhow, speaking of that man, spawning over in the top right-hand side of Everdream, playing for Team Liquid, it is Clem.
And in the bottom left, the reigning champion, and for Clash, it's Reynor.
So, even though that this isn't quite as exact as something I'm about to mention is, do you remember the reign of like Lilbo, where he used to do the Oracle opening and then the Mass Blink Stalker follow-up sentries against Zerg?
For sure.
And it was like, okay, if the Oracle gets 6 or 7 drone kills, it's basically over, kind of thing. Was kind of like the method behind it. It was really crazy how fine-tuned it was. But this Liberator, if you invest that much in it, like it's the starport tech, it's getting the second gas as early as you do, like it's 150, 150. If it actually does nothing and just kind of sieges up on top of a Spore, that's such an investment, because the other things that you can get instead of that, getting the second gas, you can get the third CC much earlier, you can get more Hellions out, like, you know, the list goes on. So the fact that 2 games now, that Liberator just hasn't been what it was in the first game, where, you know, it got deflected, but then it came back and got 10 workers. Yeah, it's such a big difference in these openings.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally really struggle with Liberators, but I feel like at that point in the game, to try to get a Liberator past Reynor would be incredibly difficult, right? It's not a unit that's very micro-wall. So I wonder if Clem is going to switch it up, kind of maybe give Reynor the same type of respect that Reynor gives him, in terms of like, I'm not going to play against your mind style. Maybe Clem shouldn't make Liberators against Reynor to open with. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because it's one of those things that I think about. I'm like, okay, how has Clem utilized the mine better than nearly any other Terran in this matchup? And it's what he does with it. And I think a lot of the Liberator stuff as well, even though you might think like, oh, you just point and click and it sieges up. It's a lot about what he does while he's doing that. So I've seen him dance with a Spore and just tax his opponent's multitasking so much, and then the Hellions actually do some damage where they shouldn't have done damage before. But yeah, I just hope to see Clem not have those early units die so early, because giving Reynor reign of the place, it's not something you can allow yourself to let him do.
Yeah. And you know what? Also, that maybe a little bit unfair in my assessment, in the fact that that's poor by Reynor. I mean, that was a metagame and a half, right? I think that Clem has probably killed Reynor in the past with something of a timing like that looked like a Liberator sieging to zone out Queens and kill some drones, and then the Hellions running into the natural or something like that. But that spore was, I mean, that was super MVP. I've never seen that spore before, and it just completely takes care of the Liberator before it has a chance to do or say anything. So,
that was, even though that looked like, oh yeah, he couldn't get in there, that was very nice positioning by Reynor every step of the way, because Ling speed wasn't done. He's now making a few extra Lings, but this is to respect the 3rd and 4th Hellion. Things so far are very, very normal this game. But it's the Liberator follow-up again, so Clem obviously has a lot of faith in it. And, you know, he's done the practice, he's done the homework for this match.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So let's see what that Liberator can bring, even though Reynor might be able to spot it with a very well-timed Overlord here. And it's what you were talking about earlier too. Clem earlier went for that poke and went for the dive with the 2 Hellions and the Reaper. This time around, he doesn't do it. And Reynor started 4 Lings right away. He does start the extra Lings, like you said, to account for the Hellions later on. But yeah, it might have gotten somewhat of a reaction, right? Just setting up the stage in that previous attempt earlier.
I think it's always smart to play the series. Oh, these Hellions. Okay. Oh, that was unusual. He turned that one into a Spore. I guess it got shot or something, or it was getting targeted and he just morphed it. Very quick reactions by the Spaniard. Oh, rather the Italian. Oh my gosh. This is nice, though. This is what you want to get done with the Liberator.
Yeah, that's just about perfect, because if you get sieged right out of range of the Spore, that's the last place that your opponent looks, because you think you're accounted for the Liberator with the Spore. So very nice job by Clem here, actually finding himself 4 kills very early and not taking any damage pretty much on the Liberator.
this is already a lot better than the games before with the Liberator, right? Like, he's not super far behind where he should be in workers. Like, he's 44 to 57, and he's still got all the Hellions on the map, and he's still got the Liberator, most importantly. And Reyna's going from ranged attack.
I love this Liberator. It's right out of range of that Overlord, by the way. So this is the perfect, most fastest possible path that the Liberator could have taken unspotted until now. What a shame. That was going to be a great surprise otherwise, I think. But now Reynor's going to be in position with that Queen thanks to the new hatchery. But at the same time, the Liberator does spot the hatchery. And it makes it so that the Hellions want to be playing on this side of the map a little bit more.
They're both doing a nice little dance around the map. Like the creep spread, it's, you know, it's, what's the word? It's not gone out of control yet. And that is much thanks to Clem just being a nuisance on the map with the Hellions and stuff. But Reyna's doing a very good job of battling that by just constantly respreading and stuff. Supplies are very close, but I'm worried for Clem this game because so far he's been very quick into going into Widow Mines, whereas this game, I think Reyna's looking to do something a little more cheeky here with like a massive roach timing or something.
Yeah, it does look like it. I mean, the upgrades are lending themselves to that exactly. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's gonna be Clem that's gonna apply some pressure here with 2 medevacs as the Hellions will join in. Is there an armory present? Can he hellbat them, or do you not want to hellbat them usually?
So, like, you don't want to hellbat them just yet. You want to have them behind the army. But look, okay, this is the Liberator being annoying. I mean, it will get the Queen and deal a little bit of economic damage, but he was trying to push while it was going on. So the Liberator, it definitely isn't just about, oh, I'm going to kill drones with it. It's also about just what is a good unit to buy time with that you have to respect. And Liberator definitely is it.
Yeah. All right, a lot of creep spread will be found. So you prefer the Hellion sitting behind the army usually?
Yeah, it stops a lot of the wraparounds.
I see. That's awesome.
Also, if they do go Banelings, and that counters the Hellbats there initially, and the Hellions can also get away if they're in Hellion mode, which is it's just down to preference, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in this particular game, because the roaches were a little bit late and there was no Banelings, maybe I was thinking Hellbat, but you're right. More often than not, that the Hellions have a very strong value of their own. Tanks, though, in plenty for the side of Clem, so that has to be kind of a good thing that he chose to go for tanks instead of Widow Mines, right?
It certainly is, and he's retained his Hellion count, which you might be like, Hellions suck against roaches, Ben. What are you on about? They are at least a bit of a buffer, and you can't just run at it and kind of hug the units. Nice positioning on these tanks as well. I really, really, really like it. The fact that they're defensive, you can't just run in and bile them.
Yeah. Even with a bunker in between, lowering now the supply depots to make his army more mobile, will push on and snipe a roach or two, but that was a big stim. Not sure if worth. Regardless, I feel like Reynor has to do something soon.
Look how he's positioned those Hellbats, by the way. This is almost like Sixth Sensey stuff. He knows where these lings are going to come from, which angle. He's like, I know you. I know you. Like, there's something else going on here. You never just do one thing at a time.
Look at the choke as well at the same time, so nothing's getting in on his natural base either. And wow, this is such a sick setup for Clem. Reynor is going to walk into a trap, and I absolutely love it. This is the patience that we were talking about that so many players lack, you know, especially with Terran. It's very easy to try and be aggressive, but Clem biding his time, just perfectly setting up, knowing his opponent is maxed on a cost, or rather supply inefficient army, and that he has to trade, he has to attack, so he waits for it, and what a payoff.
He has to be careful, though. A lot of his army is super stimmed here, and that is a lot of roaches. 2-2, not far away from completing for Clem as well. I think the best move, get back, get out of here.
Yeah, those tanks were lagging very far behind, so a little bit of over-eagerness will cost him a lot and allow Reynor to actually trade pretty efficiently. I mean, it's one of the better trades that he could have hoped for. I still really like the situation a lot for Clem, but I think this could have been just about over if he waited for the tanks.
Let's be real, Clem is so far ahead right now. Like, he's 2-2. He's even getting the +3 upgrades while this is going on. He's got like 3 extra naked racks as well, so he's piling out a lot of Marines here with better upgrades than the Zerg for now. It's like 1-0. In fact, what are the Zerg upgrades? 1-1 against 2-2. This is really good for the young Terran here.
Yeah, Carapace about to finish on the Zerg side of things. Still 3 tanks remaining. and a line of reinforcements is still coming on the side of Clem. It's going to be very difficult for Reynor to dislodge. He needs to keep at least 3 of these Ravagers, if not more, alive if he wants to have any shot at dealing with those tanks in the backline as he pushes the bio back. But yeah, Clem is not going to make it easy.
+2 armor is soon to be finished for Reynor, which will give his Roaches and Ravagers a bit more of a fighting chance, but this base, the 5th base, or rather the 4th base of Reynor, those drones are absolutely stranded, and Clem is gunning for them now.
Yeah, as Clem is taking his own 4th base, which is gonna put him at least even-ish in terms of, no, actually ahead in economy compared to Reynor, especially after those drones fall. He has to be a little bit careful as those tanks are gonna fall. This might be the last punch that Reynor has. So Clem, yeah, just pull back, regroup. I think he's done enough damage, Ben. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm overly cautious here, but I would love to see him just pull back.
Yeah, just pull back. You're ahead right now. You're getting better upgrades. You're actually ahead in workers as well. And that's exactly what he's doing. And it's very, very smart play by Clem. Can't get too over-eager because this army, all it takes is a few bios in the wrong places, but he's actually stimming on top of it. And those juicy, juicy Ravagers, they die very quickly to these Marines.
Yeah, an excellent concave, and as the reinforcements arrive, Clem feels like he has enough, and of course he does. So that is gonna be GG.
Oh my god.
Clem, once again with the lead, Ben.
And okay, now he's on match point, and this was actually super damn clean from Clem. And going on to the next few games, I'm looking at Liberator, man, and I'm like, that Liberator gets work done, then we're in for maybe a game. But if it doesn't get damage done, then, you know, Reynor's going to run ahead with it. And it's just so lovely to see the combos, like the 1-2 punches, every unit. And they're both so smart as well. Like seeing that big Roach Ravager army outside his 3rd, and he's like, no, you're doing something else. There's a run by ready somewhere. And moving the Hellbats over, beautiful play. Anyway, guys, we'll find out what happens for the rest of the series right after this break.
And we are back once again with the DreamHack Masters Grand Finals for the EU section here. Who will be crowned the champion this time around? Well, the French comer, Clem. Newcomer, maybe unfair to call him, but he's leading here, Ben. We might have a dream here. How long has it been since a non-Circ won in Europe? Anything?
I was about to say, in anything, Cats, in anything. It's seemingly too
In Europe,
long.
anything? Oh, come on.
I mean, it was Neeb, right? Pretty much.
I guess it was Neeb, yeah, and that's not even Europe, yeah.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
not
as far
even
as-
Europe, but like it was Neeb, I swear. But yeah, this is crazy. This could be like a true passing of the torch, because the last European Terrans that were winning stuff. I mean, I know Euthermal won an IEM. We had Liquid Bunny winning Gfinity. We had Thorzane winning DreamHack a long time ago. But speaking about Terrans of new spawning over in the top right-hand side, playing for Team Liquid on Eternal Empire, or Palace as Rotterdam says, it is Clem.
His opponent, trailing one game. It is for Clash, Reynor.
And what's super important about this is Reynor's life is now on the line. Clem this is match point. So, everything that Reynor knows about ZVT, be it, do I go crazy? Do I play normal? What do I do? Like, this, Reynor has such good fundamentals that whatever he chooses to do now is obviously whatever he thinks is best, but this is with so much pressure on his shoulders now. Can he do it?
I don't know. I mean, the pressure is showing. He's scouting everywhere already for those proxies, something that I pretty much never see Clem do. But hey, if you were ever to pull it off in this game, mad respect, that would have been awesome. But yeah, it looks like a pretty normal game. That last game, it's still Clem is playing out of his mind. The Hellbat setup that you were talking about, Ben. It wasn't just that the Hellbats were predicting where the links were gonna come. It's also that they were holding a like against a wall, where they would bait the links to go for a run by instead, because they were hugging the opposite wall. And then he was also ready holding the choke with a tank and multiple Marines there. So it was just a perfect setup to bait the Circ, who can't have vision in that area. And I mean, he doesn't get the link bait, but gets the bigger bait with all the Roach army trying to power through that. And my God, that was just such a brilliant setup. I think Clem is obviously playing out of his mind. And yeah, I would love to see a non-Circ champion, honestly.
Me too, as much as I love Reynor. The thing is, Clem is just, he's bringing a whole different level of Terran that we haven't really seen before, and he's just showing extra intelligence, right, with how he's handling everything. Even this game, like this SCV blocking this, is it gonna, so it blocks the drone from making the extractor as well?
Wow.
I mean, these little micro plays are just beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, he really is thinking about everything. I mean, that's not something that we usually see the SCV attempting at doing, right? It's something that's so extremely difficult to do, to control two units to that degree, and macro behind it, and do everything and have the presence of mind to think of it. I mean, it's really the little things that separate him. He's gonna get by this queen and know that there's not a queen for a little bit, so just putting it on a little bit of pressure and checking the drones, making sure that there's no funky old link coming.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm not giving Reynor enough credit in this series, the fact that he's going super toe-to-toe with Clem. But it's just so refreshing to see that Clem is bringing something very different, right? And I feel that I've seen Reynor be masterful for a long time. By the way, Clem did opt to change things up at home. He did go for that very early third CC, and he also went for the second gas on his natural. So if like Reynor was to scout things, he'd be like, hey, what's up here? Are you on 3 gases right now? But no, he's obviously not. That's just his second.
Yeah, very cool mind games being played, and going for the third CC that you were talking about. Clem is not known for going, right? So
No.
I like it. Clem is more known for aggression, and you know what? The game started, and I get the feeling that Reynor might want to be overly defensive. Perhaps similarly to how Serral looked in that game against Reynor. When you're up against the wall and you're the favorite on paper, it's very easy to try to default to your strengths, right? To try and play your game and not get surprised to anything. But that often leaves openings for your opponent to abuse that. And I think that Clem is doing beautifully here in the opening in doing that, especially on a map like this one where it's so difficult to attack into.
Certainly is, certainly is. Like, we're going to get to it because he is going bio again, and we're going to have a macro game most likely. But just the way that Clem takes fights, it's very much like he postures very aggressively and then just uses a small portion of his army to bait. And all of the movements that he has with his army, like the Widow Mines, they're bait. You bait them into it, into the tanks, and there's many lines of the bait that happens. So it's beautiful to see just how these players, because even like the Liberator being utilized further on, it's what we would class as not the most micro-intensive unit, but it's obvious that there's degrees to understanding how to actually make the most of these units.
Yeah, exactly. For example, look at this position. He's just gonna park it where the Liberator can't be threatened by anything that isn't something like Mutas, and it threatens 2 bases just by being there, right? So that complicates things, and it's something that Reynor is gonna have to keep on his mind, already making a sport to try and account for it. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Ben. Even with the units that require the least micro, there's always very intricate things to try to get the most juice out of them. And now Reynor trying to do exactly that with this Zerglings. Might get a good surround onto this Marines. This is huge. It may not seem like it, but it's huge then.
It really is. And if you're at home wondering, like, hey, it's just Marines, man. Oh, did he F2? I think he F2'd back there. And like the Liberator's now out of position. And oh, this is really bad for Clem, actually. Like, this is super bad.
Yeah. And yeah, finish your thought, Ben, because I think it's important to talk about why it's so important this Marines going dead.
Oh, thank you. So Terran is all about tempo. Like the way that they produce, it's not like they have lava inject on their barracks. There are timing windows that you hit. So there's level 1, that is the first phase of the game, where it's like the Hellions and the Liberator. Then there's like level 2. This just totally stunted level 2. So the Marine tank attack or any kind of Marine medevac pressure, it's just going to be way damn slower and with way less of a punch. So that was really, really indicative of how this game's going to go for Reynor, and he has so much more breathing room than he's used to.
Exactly. So we saw as soon as Reynor gets the surround onto those Zerglings, he pushes on the drone button and drones like crazy. Because without those Marines, really Clem doesn't have any aggressive options that will threaten the life or any of the expansions of Reynor for a long while. And that's where Zerg thrives. That is the Zerg thing to do, is to know when to macro up. And of course Reynor knows. So that is indeed huge, and that is why we have been talking about the first Liberator so much, right? It's because the first few units are the most important in terms of that, in terms of establishing that momentum and keeping the ball rolling as Terran.
As much as I've been kind of the position or opinion that like Clem's not being in the best shape because of that, he's still doing ridiculously good macro-wise, and maybe the difference of this game is the fact that he did do that super greedy build, right? And maybe Reynor didn't clue into that he was as greedy as he was, and this Balin drop could get blunders done. Such sick reactions by Clem.
Very good. A lot of them actually clumped into the gas, but I don't think Reynor noticed. So unable to punish. And yeah, those Widow Mines, I mean, they're so well positioned too. Like, he sieges 2 on creep, but he sieged 2 right out of creep, right? So that his opponent doesn't know about the other 2. So the first 2 are bait that you can account for it. Like, he's always looking for this little opening. Let's see what Reynor is able to do. It's not an inexpensive cleanup, and actually, it's not even a cleanup at all. Clem with amazing micro will save some units and continue to delay a little bit of mining. This is nice restabilizing from the French.
It certainly is. Like, he's actually caught up in upgrades, sort of. You know, he's doing well in that front. This medevac has just been waiting on that left side. Does he have drilling claws? He doesn't yet. Denies this attempted like 5th, 6th base by Reynor on the left side too.
Oh, yeah.
Reynor's just like Reynor's handling it, but it's not easy by any means.
I love that Liberator on the in the bottom now has 5 kills. I don't know when he's getting these kills, but he's probably getting them one by one, because I just saw the Queen shooting at it, and it's like, yeah, how did it get 5 kills at some point? That's amazing. Clem really is doing like more than we can show.
Yeah, the Widow Mines as well, just aggressively posturing all over the map, just being exceptionally annoying. These guys,
the bait,
man, the bait, constantly the bait, and
always the bait.
This creep spread as well is Reyna's been doing a really good job of spreading it, but equally so, Clem's just been denying it, and like on other sides of the map too. And now we see Clem kind of posturing down to the bottom right. Oh, the Widowmine! Oh,
Yeah, the bait. I mean, showing the Marines just a little bit further back. The Lynx will run head first into that Widowmine. Now, that said, Reynor did go for the Hydras, and it's potentially going to end up going for the Lurker style here later on. So that's not going to be too bad against Widowmines in head-on engagements or even at clearing these positions. If he's a little bit patient, but it looks like he's just eager to run in, and a lot of Lynx are going to fall to those Widowmines.
oh my gosh. I mean, again, this probably doesn't seem like much, but if we bring up that resources lost tab again, it's 6k to 3k at this point. So Clem just eking out little advantages. Is this Baneling drop going to get anything?
Oh,
oi,
this
oi,
would
oi.
be huge! Oh, the 7! Okay, 13 is quite a bit, Ben. That is exactly what Reynor needed.
That was a Superman Baneling, dude. Did you see how big that explosion was? Holy crap. Okay, but it feels like he just awoke the sleeping giant, you know. And Clem, he's moving out with a lot. Oh, nice splits with the Baneling at the last second there.
Yeah, we'll find these two aggressive mines as well, and the creep spread has actually improved over the last minute. Big Link counter attack. Will it find anything? It's a PF there, so it will not there, but the wall is open. Not enough Marines to hold this many Links, and Clem will be forced to pull back.
He will, and the SCVs do escape. I mean, he didn't go for those SCVs, which is maybe a little bit surprising. That is it. I tell you what, Reyno's doing a good job now of just making sure that he splits off the right amount of units, and this Ling run-by has bought him so much time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the most important thing from the Ling run-by, but I agree with you, Ben. I'm surprised that at least he didn't shove a few Lings onto those SCVs, right? He would have killed at least a few. I do like the retreat here, because what he was looking for ultimately is this move back from Clem, but Reynor maybe feeling the pressure a little bit in this game. Oh...
you know, when you talk about pressure, he is on 98 drones, and this is after making some static defense. Nice transfusions. Those lurkers just... Okay. Reynor's in control, man. He's in control. Wow. That resource is lost. He caught right back up, and all of a sudden, Reynor, he's got really good armor.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up the resources lost up before, because, you know, you look at this game, and we might seem like fools thinking that Clem is ahead. Now Reynor has really had a wonderful set of minutes here and is catching back up quickly. Clem with a huge surround, perhaps looking to encroach onto this lurker. There's enough Marauders. I think he might be able to, but the bio is so weak already.
Oh, that's one of the things. The Lings on the left side as well getting on top. No, they're kind of choosing not to fight against those weak red health bio. And there is so much Zerg, so much bio, but it really feels like Reynor's getting the much better edge out of this just because he's richer.
Is he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, well,
is he?
I'm not sure. I mean, this is such a scrappy engagement, and I think Clem has managed to finally clean up, but an uncharacteristic mistake from Reynor. They're definitely not picking up those very weak units with the Zerglings, right? They were clicked forward. That could have made all the difference in that fight, certainly.
Okay, so where are we? Let's in fact, no, they're not going to give us the time. Okay, we can breathe a little. We can breathe. So, lots more lurkers coming down. 97 drones to 76 SCVs. Clem making a lot more barracks, by the way. What's he going to be on soon? In fact, let's have a count. He's going to be on 11 barracks, so he's super rich as well. He's moving over to take his 6th base behind all this. Neither player is out this game by any means, and in fact, Clem's going up to 84-ish SCVs as well. This is crazy.
Yeah, this position is so annoying, though, if Reynor can take it, and there seems to be nothing in position for Clem. At the same time, Clem is going to strike back on the other side as he tries to micro against the Banelings of Reynor, but Reynor is going to get a very favorable sieging position, potentially onto the production if he wants it, but it seems to be a little bit indecisive. Instead, he's going to go for the third. I'm not sure that I like that as much. He's going to find a ball of Marines, and the Lurkers are going to fall. No! What's going on, Ben?
Those lurkers were meant to trade so much more efficiently than that, but he just take down the natural. And the thing is, Clem's kind of caught with his main army out in the middle of the map kind of thing. And I think Reynor's making enough units to deal with this back at home as well. In fact, it's just pure Lings.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to that very annoying position on this map. We see so many games end like this in favor of Zerg just because that position, especially with lurkers, if you can siege it, is so strong. So Clem is going to have to be a little bit more careful keeping control of that watchtower moving on forward. He does get the cleanup, and it's somewhat fortuitous to do so because it really was looking grim for him, I thought.
Yeah, all things said and done, he's actually still in the game. Granted, Raynor definitely got the damage done that he wanted to, but if we look at the rest of the map, there is a lot of blue bases still around, and Clem is now piling on the aggression here, and that's a pretty solid bio army, it has to be said.
Yeah, very well spread mines everywhere as well. I'm not sure if he's lacking scans, but he's certainly not scanning yet. Maybe saving them for the lurkers. There's not very many units outside of those for Raynor. A lot of tech units, a lot of units that want to support units, let's call them in Vipers, and a lot of morphing lurkers, but his army is not really here. Now is the Lynx arriving and the lurkers morphing, and with that, Raynor will be able to establish a position, but not before Clem continues to trade very cost efficiently here.
Yeah, what the hell's going on here? Like, how is Clem managing to do this? He was just looking like he was dying not a minute ago, and now he's pushing Raynor back and pushing him to the limit. They're 10 supply within one another. Like, this is crazy here, Cats.
Absolutely. I mean, those 5 or so lurkers running into the third, instead of, in my opinion, just run into the production line. You're protected there by your Lynx, and if you siege the production of the Terran, I mean, it feels like crap, I imagine, right, Ben?
Oh, it feels more than crap, and we can feel that these players are in this moment of chaos here because they're both actually hitting supply caps here. Okay. Now Clem has dropped a few supply depots and he's making a few extra as well. He's making more CCs. There's lots of CCs on the map, and Reynor's actually supply capped. He is going into heavy lurkers though. And what's the count at? 13. That is very, very scary.
Yes, indeed. But Clem is keeping his army where he needs to, forward for now. There's no mutas or corruptors to punish this, so he can always load into those medevacs and continues to not just trade cost efficiently, but also with his presence continues to deny the advancements creep-wise and expansion-wise for Raynor.
And this isn't the only fight going off. There's one in the top left as well, but the lurkers getting very good trades. How many kills do these guys have? I see 8, 4, 3. Oh my gosh, that was a massacre right there.
Yeah, Raynor is gonna look once again to abuse this position. Gets again in an excellent position for these lurkers. This time I would love to see him go up that ramp, perhaps, but I mean, Clem does have some units here. A very nice concave. Will he be able to break through? No, I think there's too many links. The Vipers now joining the fray as well, Ben. These things are getting really dire for Clem.
They're super dire. I think the lurkers are too good in this position, and Clem, he's trying his best to clean things up, but they're dealing way too much damage, and we're going to the final map here between these two. They are so evenly matched.
They really are. I mean, these guys and Serral, they showed it. They showed their dominance in the group stages. Clem, not as dominant perhaps as Serral and Raynor, but redeeming himself, making it all the way to the finals here. And now we are in the final game of the finals after a 5-game semifinals. I couldn't have asked for anything better than I am beyond myself.
You know, we will walk away from this tournament knowing that these players are all as close as they've ever been, right? Like the fact that they're bringing each other to the final maps every time, it's just what a scene we have at this point in time. And the styles that are really shining through as well. That's always been one thing that I've found so beautiful with StarCraft and RTS games in general. Your style, you can really imprint it on the game, and we're seeing it shine through with these guys. Like Raynor, so good with the run by, so good at getting to an offensive posture, and just making the most of it. We saw that on Eternal Empire. Clem with the big baits here, there, and everywhere. Like they're both making magic happen out of nothing. And the final map of this series will be Pillars of Gold. So this is a super good macro map to duke it out on.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, I would think it's a little bit of a Sergier map than it is a Terran map, right, Ben? Like the third could be so wide open. Or do you? I suppose most Terrans will prefer the triangle here.
Yeah, I like the triangle. I like the triangle. Yeah. I do think it's very good for Widow Mines, just because there's so much space, so much baity space as well. That being said, I do think it's also very good for Muta if you can get to it, but you don't want to play Muta against Clem, I feel, just because of the Widowmine situation.
Yeah, that is the Widowmine situation, and we have seen Raynor. I mean, we talked about this in the first game, right? Raynor tried the Link Bane style, potentially into Muta to progress, and got himself in a good position, but Clem just traded so efficiently with those mines that we have seen Raynor kind of just pull back and go back to what works against Clem. And traditionally, that has been the Hydra into Lurker, but it has never been as close as this, except for the last series between these two earlier in the tournament, where Clem actually took it down. Let's see if he's able to do it again as we load into the final map, Pillars of Gold of the grand finals of this DreamHack EU. And spawning in the bottom left-hand side, the Italian stallion for Clash, it's Reynor.
And for the last time in this tournament, I'll be throwing out this guy's name. Spawning over in the top right, playing for Team Liquid, it is Clem. That had some funk behind it. That really did.
I liked it. All right. So we're going to have a drone scout this time around. Reynor doubling down on thinking that Clem is likely to do a proxy at some point during the series. But no, Clem is playing confidently. So it seems as though as if Reynor might think he is he has the upper hand, right? Yeah. That's how I feel when I see drone scouts like this.
Me too. And also, I think Reynor thinking that Clem has the balls to go for a proxy rack when it's 3-3 in the grand final. That also, to me, shows a lot of respect because we've talked about it. We haven't really seen Clem do much proxy shenanigans. So
that would have been the next level, right? And if it got scouted, it would have been next level. So maybe that's what Reynor is going for. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna cut corners, I would have liked that one to be cut because on my side I haven't seen Clem, but who knows what's happening on the ladder and who knows what's happening perhaps in the smaller tournaments that they face each other, right? It might be Clem feeding wrong information to Reynor. There must be a reason he's so worried.
One next level play would be you pick out the Zergs that you know are Reynor's friends, but not super openly, and then you pick them all and you proxy racks the crap out of them in practice games. So you know the information shouldn't really get back to Reynor, but it does get back to him. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that is the next little thing. I love it, man.
Okay, so this little Reaper dance over here. We've seen that they're both good at dealing with this early game shenanigans, although Ling does die very early on.
Yeah, very impressive maneuver there by Clem, right? Running towards the links, anticipating that Reynor has already made up his mind, at least for that split second, to go back, picking up that link. Not a thing that most players are able to do.
I'm mainly curious about the builds that Clem goes for this game, because Pillars of Gold, it's a big map, right? Like similar to Eternal Palace, as Rotterdam says, in that regard. Like it's quite large. But he has gone for the second gas, and he is going for the starport. He never goes for Banshees from what I've seen, and I think Banshees are always like a pretty decent way to go. A lot of Terrans do resort to them a lot, like Marus of the world and stuff. Oh my god, is she going to get that?
The Reaper! My god. That Reaper is, dancing with death there to get the last shot on the Zergling and know that you can get away. That is just, I would never dare. But yeah, I'm with you, Ben. Especially if Clem had caught on to the fact that Reynor is unwilling, seemingly, to go for Mutiling Bane against him, right? Banshees are even stronger, so maybe that's something that he could have added. And they are pretty reliable units, the type of unit that I feel like someone like Clem would thrive with, because he can be patient and just wait and kind of preserve them throughout the game and come back and do more and more with them. But, it's gonna be a Liberator again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to question Clem, because, I mean, he's got to where he is from doing what he does.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I wouldn't say he's predictable. The
opener, certainly.
Yeah, to a lesser extent, for sure. And, I mean, the fact that he doesn't play mech as well, like, you can start trying to learn him a little bit. The bit where he excels is the fact that he's just so damn good at the standard bio game.
Yeah.
But I wonder what it is that stops him from kind of utilizing the other like attributes that Terran have when it comes to their openings.
Well, a lot of it, Ben. I mean, it comes down to how we tend to practice. Let's see what happens here, though. The Liberator, unfortunately, Sieges this time on the Spore, but will be able to save it. The Helion's poking will recognize that there's a creep tumor, but the Queens will come to its aid. Every creep tumor matters here, Ben.
It certainly does. And also, he's actually going beyond 6 Hellions, like, very often in this series, which also it's like he very much wants to get damage done early on. Like the 3cc build, it's like it's good and stuff, but he goes for the double gas to put on pressure. So a lot of his focus, a lot of his emphasis is slowing down the Zerg, which we've known has been the case for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, and to your comment, Ben, I think that there's different ways to approach StarCraft in this regard, and I think that it's likely a lot of players will kind of iterate and do the same thing over and over, and that's how they attain the mastery that they get, like beyond with Reapers, right? And we see something similar to with Clem, I think, with just overall bio, but even in his openings with his Hellions, with the Liberator, maybe that's just his super comfort zone, right? And maybe if he feels like he's close to where he wants to be with this, then we can start seeing him diverging a little bit, which is kind of what we've seen in the evolution of Serral, for example, as a player, right? He's learning more than just the thing that won him his bread.
Yeah, I think it's also like I've seen him actually do different openings against Zergs that he doesn't respect, or maybe not say doesn't respect. Zergs that aren't as good as Raynor, but when it comes to going up against Raynor, maybe he feels that this is the only one that he feels he has a chance with, you know?
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe it's
also
the one
that kind of
he's
thing.
found the most success with, yeah.
Yeah.
And in a final game, difficult to switch it up. So, yeah, I don't mind the approach. Another thing is that as much as his openings might be predictable, he makes magic happen with his units, and he's always trying to outthink you, right? He's not just making a build without thinking about it and whatever. It's in his unit control where he really shines, where he's really looking for those openings and thinking ahead and trying to outsmart his opponent. This Lynx, though, finding 6 SEs. Forgiven that last one.
Quite a few SCVs, and this drop, not really getting the damage done. Although, this is kind of nice. I mean, focusing the low health medevac is nice with that Queen. Does mean that at least 8 Marines will go down with this. Oh, will they? 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, 8 Marines do go down, but very nice job by Clem getting juice out of that, and it's gonna be the Hellion Rambai, and this is exactly what we were just talking about. It's not the units or how many units or which units he has, it's how he uses them. And here we go, the Hellbats are trying to run in. There are no Banelings more. This is huge, Ben.
This really is huge, and this is mainly lost mining time, right? Like, this base hasn't been able to mine for quite some time now, and including the drop in the main base was really, really nice. The Liberator will eventually die, but so far, I mean, very nicely handled by Raynor too, to be fair. Like, he hasn't just kind of attacked it with the Lings. He's really waiting. Now we can go for it.
Yeah, very, very nice patience displayed there by Raynor, who has continued on with his creep spread and now reestablishes that base. The Liberator going down also makes things a lot easier for him. But yeah, that was a little bit expensive for Clem. Still, this is very much anyone's game. I still want to say, though, if Clem isn't able to find some damage soon, Ben, I'm not sure.
No, Raynor is on 84 drones against 60 SCVs. And Clem, he's actually doing what I like to think of as like the Gabe kind of build, where your 6th, 7th, 8th barracks, they're all naked still, and you're just whipping out 12 Marines at a time. So Clem, he's all in with this, like super all in. He has to get damage done, and Raynor, he is so good at just buying time and making life difficult for a Terran.
Yeah, this is a big Rambai waiting to happen as Clem is moving out. The tank will give him a heads up, though. No doubt he will be. Oh no, he's not able to get the supply depot up, and the Lynx will get in, but the reinforcements might be enough as those Banelings get focus fire, but not. Okay, they do not actually get good connections, though they both connect onto the SCVs.
The bait mine, it's there. Does he have enough scans to clear up the creep, though? This is going to get gnarly. This is going to get super gnarly. Like, Clem, he's pretty broke here. Oh, the Winter Mine is later. Okay, he picks up, avoids damage, but the tanks, they are left to die alone.
Yeah, though a lot of Banelings collapsing onto them, perhaps a little bit unnecessarily. Clem is, like you said, very, very all in here, and he's not finding himself a way through this map. Now 57 workers only.
Oh, and you know the roughest part about this? He's down to 1 tank. Like, he's got 0 AoE. Like, he is hitting 2-2, which is great. He's fighting off creep, actually, for the majority of this, which is good. Oh, the Baneling run by the 3rd base killed 15 SCVs. Oh, my. This is not good for
Liberators
him.
in production. Not at all. There's no tanks or mines in production. It's these 2 Liberators that are... I'm not sure why Liberators right now, but I mean, is there a good choice? It's so difficult. He will find himself a base, but I feel like that's just Reynor saying, I can afford to lose that base. And waiting for his banelings to morph. Now cleaning this up with the Hydras. Looking fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Reyna's taking control of this game while all this is going on. He took the other base in the bottom right side of the map. And Clem, setting up Liberators. This feels like a last hurrah, basically. But, oh, he is kind of fending Reyna back a little bit. But I think this is Reyna just being safe, knowing that if he holds, he basically can win the game. Because 80 drones to 48 SCVs.
Yeah, there is no fourth in sight for Clem as well. This might just be it. We might have a repeat champion re-establishing his domain over the EU scene. Good game, well played. And Reynor is our champion.